Hi, I'm Kelly Chester. Welcome to the application workshop. Today we're going to talk about how acceptance rates change depending on geographic area. Do not forget to subscribe at the end of the video. Okay, so everybody accesses acceptance rate data typically on school websites or utilizes Naviance, which some high schools subscribe to, and those resources help students craft lists. However, many students fail to recognize that acceptance rates shift and change depending on where you live. For example, if a high school has many students applying to the same college, it impacts the acceptance rate. For example, if we look at Boston College, in this particular area of Nassau County, New York, Boston College is extremely popular around here, not just in my school district, but in surrounding districts and private schools. So even though BC has an acceptance rate, high 20s, 30% acceptance rate, for students around here, it is much lower because Boston College is inundated with applications from students in this geographic area. So they can't automatically admit all of the qualified applicants because they want to diversify geographically, making it more difficult to gain a spot in that particular school if you live in this area because they have so many students apply. Students don't always realize this when they create a list. So if there's a buzz about a certain college or several colleges in your high school and you know many of your peers are applying, know that it makes it much more competitive for you to gain access to that college or university and to be admitted. The same thing is kind of the opposite is true, right? If nobody's applying in your specific geographic area, or if you live in a part of the country that's considered desirable because not as many students will travel far or will apply to a certain region, it can be easier to be admitted into a particular college. You want to make sure the high school has some kind of relationship with the local reps, however, because sometimes schools fear that the students won't attend if there's no relationship or history of students ever attending from a particular high school in a particular state. But that being said, if you do live in a region of the country where not as many students apply to a specific college, it can be easier to be admitted. So geographic location plays a role in acceptance rates, and I think you just need to be aware of that as you review that acceptance rate data online, because it can be very confusing. One more tip related to acceptance rate, and it has to do with state schools. Sometimes it's very difficult to find out-of-state acceptance rate data versus in-state acceptance rate data for public colleges and universities. And for some schools in particular, it can be very difficult to be admitted if you are out of state. And students will look at, say, UNC Chapel Hill's acceptance rate and think that it is a reach school for them, but they don't realize that UNC only accepts between 5 and 8% typically of their students from out of state. So that's an important detail to pay attention to as well, as you begin to craft those school lists. Naviance is one of my favorite resources. I know a lot of high schools don't subscribe to it, but it's something worth asking about because it does allow you to see kind of where you stand within your high school, because it compares, it basically tracks how many students apply to different colleges within your high school over the course of several years and whether or not they've been accepted and what their stats are. So it's a great tool for all of you who are hoping to create that college list. Remember, look at several sources for that acceptance rate data so that you can accurately create a reach, match, and safety section of your school list.